did want to ask you about something you've also been writing about recently, which is election simulations. I think this coming year is going to be so crazy with regards to elections, all the information that's out there. And one thing you've talked about, which I love and repeat on my shows, is we shouldn't have a political savior. And we seem to ping pong back and forth between red and blue and red and blue. And everything for the average person just seems to get harder and they get poorer. So what can you share about the upcoming election and these simulations?
Okay, so actually, it's not new reporting. It's I did a series on this company that was doing very weird election simulations in the beginning of 2020, specifically a company called Cybereason. Yeah, and in that same year, I was also writing about another company that's sort of gotten tied up in this called CTI League that recently has gotten some coverage from Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi. As part of the whole censorship discussion, but they obviously, as I've been noting, and as I noted in my reports on them from 2020, have been a lot involved in a lot more than that. So basically, this company called Cybereason was conducting unusual, I would say, simulations with the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and law enforcement in the U.S. They're not a company founded by Americans, by the way. They're all like veterans and still active, more or less, of Israeli intelligence services. And they basically conducted these simulations of what types of hacks and events, cyber attacks, could trigger the cancellation of a U.S. presidential election and the declaration of martial law. And so there's been some people that have been concerned that seems like something that might happen next election cycle. I don't really know. I do know that it's very likely there's going to be some sort of cyber 9/11 style event next year. And that's unsettling. It is a U.S. presidential election year next year, but it's also a presidential election a year in about half of the countries of the world. So I'm sure next year is going to be much more turbulent than this year was. In terms of stuff on that scale. And then you have these groups like one of the top guys at the World Economic Forum saying a massive cyber attack is not likely, but is going to come before January 2025, which of course we're in December 2023. That implies it's going to be in 2024. And this is the same group that during COVID was like, well, just wait for the cyber pandemic and it's going to be worse than COVID and all of this stuff. So, which, by the way, the World Economic Forum has a partnership against cybercrime that I've talked a lot, including at the Bitcoin conference earlier this year in May.
And on our show,
And here as well. It's run by a career Israeli intelligence guy named Tal Goldstein. It's very tied up with the biggest banks in the world, including some of the too big to fail banks from the U.S., Bank of America, and intelligence agencies of the U.S., UK, and Israel. That have these explicit plans to end both online and financial anonymity online, and specifically attack crypto as a terror financing tool, which has been circulated in mainstream media and then debunked, but it still creates the impression specifically that Bitcoin is the money of terrorists. And this is an overt effort to criminalize even further the use of mixers. So of course you have people that have created mixers that have gotten in legal trouble, but the goal is to have anyone that uses a mixer get in legal trouble, which is a significant escalation. And we're seeing efforts worldwide to end the use of encryption by individuals. All of this is very significant, and there's a reason they're criminalizing Bitcoin specifically for that. And this is part of this broader effort we spoke about earlier to co-opt Bitcoin, and they want to use this national security justification to take that as far as they can take it.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I have a few headlines here that I wanted to go into. There's been a lot of interesting things that have been happening with just, what are we in the second day in this year alone? And of course there's more, more to come, but the Lord is really setting the tone. Okay, as we know, the remaining prophecies take place, they're not going to be any better than the ones. And when I say better, I mean easier in terms of judgment than the ones that we've already seen. Okay, now earlier this morning there was this commotion basically going on in let's see if I can pull this up. And this took place on Roosevelt Island, okay, downtown, where basically people were reporting like a loud explosion and like shaking and all that, to where some felt like it was a bomb, some felt like it was an earthquake or something like that. Okay, but interesting. So it seems here they updated the article, and it says here, this is from The Sun. It says here, like an explosion, New York City is rocked by 1.7 magnitude earthquake, sparking power outages across Roosevelt Island. Because earlier they were searching, the first responders were searching for a cause to see what it was, and they couldn't really find too much. So, I mean, now this is the story they're saying, that this was caused by an earthquake, here in this region, okay, which Yahweh Shai did prophesy about that, right? That part of the signs of these last days were going to be, earthquakes in diverse places. And just this year alone, you had an earthquake in, where was this? Japan, right? And then you also had one, today in Queens, okay? This 1.7 magnitude earthquake, is said that it hit Astoria in Queens. All right. So, things are going on, judgment is going out, and it's only going to get, more and more devastating as time goes on. Now, I have like the video I played in the beginning of this, or maybe, in the post edit, I might play it now. I'm not sure when I'm going to play it, maybe in the beginning, maybe now, but we'll see. It depends on how I feel about it. Anyway, in this video, as you're going to see, they're basically talking about these election simulations. All right. And basically it's all pointing towards some sort of crippling incident, be it a cyber attack or something along those lines, which, remember that this isn't anything new, right? This guy, Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum, years ago during the whole demic, came out and was basically already talking about, a far worse threat that'll make, the whole C-19 situation look like a walk in the park. All right. And he said it was going to be basically like a cyberdemic. All right. And the reason that's so crippling and so, threatening to the modern society today is because everything is technologicalized, if that's even a word. Right. But everything has been, put in a sense where your whole life is based off of everything being digital, which requires electricity. Okay. And because everything is so digital, it puts it at a higher risk for something like a cyber attack. And it also elevates the damage that something like a cyber attack can do. What's also interesting is just this year or last year, you had the movie Leave the World Behind. Okay. That came out, which, interestingly enough, that's really what they're trying to do, right? In their plans, they plan to take out the old world. That's why they call it a new world order. They plan to do away with the old world and to bring out the new one. But that transition period is going to be a time of chaos. Okay, it's going to be very destructive because, like I always say, it's hard to replace something, like something old with something new if the old works fine. If they were to come out and say, hey, we're pushing out this new implant that's going to be like the new form of currency, who wants to take it? People are going to be fine because I have my credit card, I have my debit card, I have my cash, I'm okay. I don't think I want that. If there's no problem with what they're doing, because people don't like change, they're comfortable. They like comfortability. They don't want to be out of their comfort zone. They don't know what this new thing is going to be like. So if you're trying to push something new, because that's what the new world order is going to entail, everything is going to be new. They're going to have 15-minute cities. Okay, meaning just that you're confined within a certain radius, and if you step out of that radius, guess what? Your bank card is shut off. You don't have access to anything. It's almost like you don't exist outside of that 15-minute radius of wherever you are, which is going to be coupled with smart cities, all right, which all falls under the IoT, the Internet of Things, where everything is basically connected. Okay, so that's pretty much the direction they're going in. But the point is, it's going to be such a drastic change that is going to be a high level of friction, which is where all the chaos is going to come in. That hell breaking loose is going to be that transition period. All right, now I want to get this real quick because there's a lot of things that are going on, and that's why it's very important to pay attention. Okay, it's society today makes it so you're so caught up with the things of this life that you're always heads down on something that's in this life that's distracting you. Oh, it's your job, or it's school, or it's this, or it's that, or it's your family, whatever it is. They design it in a way where it keeps your head down, and people barely have time to lift up their head and actually look around and see what's going on in the world. And if they did, they would realize that the direction things are going in is not looking safe at all. So this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24. Now, I'm just going to jump down to the point, okay, because pretty much, you know what, let me actually start up at verse 3. It says here, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and he is talking about Yahushua. So prior to him going back to the Father in the spirit world, when he was still on the earth, as it says here, as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, is like a location. His disciples, right, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And here's the key part that they asked him, what shall be the sign of thy coming, meaning of his return, and of the end of the world? Because they understood that whatever age was going to be, let's actually look up that word world. Okay, but whatever age or rulership was going to be, in existence at the time of the Lord's return, his return was going to usher in the end of that. So they knew that the Lord's return was going to be simultaneous with the end of the world, or the end of the current age. And the word here is aeon, okay, which is a period of time or an age. So they were asking him, well, what signs, right? What are going to be like the telltale signs to let us know when your return is and when the end of the world is going to be? And what he said was, right, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. Which you see that going on today, all right, especially in the realm of religion. All right, when you deal with religion, there's so many different groups and sects and beliefs out here, and it's very easy for people to be deceived. All it takes is for somebody to throw on a suit, and come and speak smooth words, because a lot of people today don't actually take the time to question, to study, to be prudent enough to realize, hold on one second, what you're saying doesn't make sense, right? Or what you're saying, it may sound deep, it may sound, interesting, it may sound like what you're talking about. A lot of people today are good at sounding like they know what they're talking about, but it doesn't mean that they do. And it isn't until you actually scrutinize what they're saying and question what they're saying and actually try to make sense of it that you start to find the holes. So the Lord said, watch out, right? Take heed that no man deceive you. Verse 6, another sign was that, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Okay, and now, really for the past few years, that's what you've been seeing. Now you have the whole Russia-Ukraine situation, which turned into a war, they, going back and forth and all of that. But now you have what's more current and prevalent, which started with, Amalek and Hamas. Okay, but is now escalating into something more, which, like we said, the key players that you were seeing here, the second you start to see Israel, Iran, in here, the U.S. is going to be in there, Russia is going to be in there, and this thing is going to, spiral into something else. And that's what you're basically seeing happening now. Okay, this tension over there is escalating into something greater, and it's becoming, like a vortex that's forming. And the Lord said that, right? Zephaniah 3 and 8, that the Lord's determination is to gather the nations over there in that region. So this whole situation that's going on is forming like a vortex that is drawing all these different countries into that region. Eventually, that's what it's going to be. And there's going to be war. Okay. So as the Lord said, you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. And we've been hearing that for years. Oh, this is going on over here. And, a rumor is basically something like what you hear where they say, oh, this could possibly be, a spiral into a full blown world war. These are all part of the wars and rumors of wars. But the Lord also said, right, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So don't lose your mind at these things. You have people that get so afraid. They say, I don't want to pay attention to the news. I don't want to hear any of it because it's too scary. But the Lord said, don't be troubled, because that's not the very end just yet. Right? That's why he says, but the end is not yet. Meaning before the end comes, because the end is going to come with thermonuclear destruction. That's going to be the result of that Third World War. But there are certain things that need to take place before that, namely the prophecy of the mark of the beast. Okay. Also, right, it says, verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And that's why you see so much division going on. All right. You have different nations in terms of, different races and ethnicities coming up against each other. But you also have actually different countries. All right. And even within those countries, you have different groups that are up against each other. And there shall be famines. And here's the thing about famine. Right now, right, as I'm speaking right now, there are famines all around the world, like severe famines in certain regions. Just because you are not experiencing a famine in where you live does not mean that there aren't famines in the world today. Okay, so it says there shall be famines, plural, and pestilences, plural, and earthquakes in diverse places, so in different parts of the world. And then that's what's been going on. It says, for all these are the beginning of sorrows. So these are the beginning. Now, why did the Lord say these are the beginning of sorrows? Because these signs, these events are going to be the indicator to the trouble that's going to be ushered in, to the chaos that's about to ensue. And the world is going to experience it. Every part of the world is going to experience it. But mainly here in America, all right, known as Babylon the Great, it's going to be very bad over here. All right, it's going to be very, very terrible over here. And if the Lord doesn't have mercy on you, if you don't have the protection of the Heavenly Father, you're not going to make it. All right, you're going to suffer some heavy judgments, okay, that you would just wish that you were dead. But in any case, these elites, they're getting ready. And that's why the scriptures say, let me actually go there real quick. Where is this? Ephesians. One second. Let's check 5. Yeah, this is Ephesians 5 and 15. It says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Circumspectly meaning you're constantly aware of what's going on around you. Okay. Circum meaning around. Okay. And spect, which goes into the word spectate, or to look. Okay. So you're constantly looking around, seeing what's going on around you, paying attention. Right. Not as fools, not being ignorant of the matter of what's going on in the world, but as wise. Right. Looking into the things that can have an effect on your life. Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. We're living in some evil days. All these things going on. You had that. I think there's a movie coming out this year that's called Civil War. Now you got to always ask yourself, because they use I think it's called the revelation of the method, which is pretty much a part of what these elites do, where they reveal what they're going to do through predictive programming and other means before they do it. So why is the theme of a lot of these new TV shows and these new movies dealing with some type of destruction, some type of all hell breaking loose scenario? And you got Civil War now this year is supposed to be election year, and a lot of people are saying it's looking, it's looking to be interesting if there's even going to be one. Okay, so we got to watch and see. But things are definitely turning up. So, hey, as the scriptures say, man, stay upon your watch, keep paying attention, because at any moment, the Lord could really just flip it. A lot can happen in 24 hours. All right, your world can literally turn upside down in the span of a couple of hours. That's how fast, things can go down. It only takes the first domino to fall, and everything changes. And it's not going to go back to how it was before. That time is gone. So actually, let me actually end it off on this. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 126. Because at the end of the day, guess what? This is all the doing of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 126. It is time for thee, Yahweh, to work, for they have made void thy law. So because they have disregarded the ways that the Heavenly Father has set as how to conduct yourself, how to live, the laws to follow, the Lord is going to act. Okay, he's going to work, and he's going to visit this planet with judgments. So before all is said and done, everybody's going to know, or at least experience, the wrath of the Lord, and know that this is not by coincidence. This isn't just something that was made up. This is definitely the workings of a higher power. All right, so let's see. And Lord willing, this be the year that we do get delivered out of here. But anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.